this year alone, but that is yet to be realized. Nana Akufo-Addo also promised to establish one dam in every village in the northern part of the country to boost agriculture through a well-planned irrigation policy. But the one-year grace period the government gave itself has almost elapsed with very little visible action, even though Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has assured that all is set for the implementation of the campaign pledge of the governing party. Some have expressed misgivings, while the president, together with his vice, has on several occasions reaffirmed their commitment to dealing with the country's growing youth unemployment menace. The MPP government has so far not shown clear policy direction and timelines to achieve this. Contrary to a pledge to ensure the quick passage of the Right to Information Bill by the end of 2017, Ghana is still struggling under President Akufo-Addo to pass the Right to Information Bill. This bill, which will ensure enhanced transparency in the governance process, has remained on the drawing board, and all efforts to get it passed into law continue to be a mirage. Let's still stay on this subject, and as we round up the year 2017, a section of the public has been tracking the performance of the MPP government. Now, President Akufo-Addo's large government of 110 ministers, the highest in the history of Ghana, was expected to churn out solutions to challenges faced by the erstwhile NDC administration in managing the economy. Now, how well have they fared in their mandates? Let's find out in this report.
Akufo-Addo appointed a total number of 110 people to serve as ministers of state and deputies in his administration, the highest in the country's history. Out of the total 110, 20 are regional ministers and their deputies, 40 ministers for various ministries with 50 deputies. This bold step was in fulfillment of President Akufo-Addo's quest to rapidly improve the economy, which the New Patriotic Party had accused the erstwhile NDC government of mismanaging prior to the December 7 elections. Almost a year into managing the affairs of the country, a section of the public scores them average with room for improvement.
The Minister of Finance, the policies and the measures put in place so far seem to have improved on the economy has improved to a point. And I'm hopeful that next year things will change. For now, because of the short term, I wouldn't want to judge, but I believe they've all done their best.
So far, I think Otiko Jaba, because upon all the controversies, she's still on her feet and she's doing her best. So I can guarantee, I can tell her she's the best so far.
I think it's the Education Minister, Martin Opoku Prempre, because she was able to bring the free SHS on board. So he is my favorite one.
And who is your worst minister this year?
That's what I can't mention.
So you think the sanitation minister has done a good job?
I don't even know who is the sanitation minister.
I would say the energy minister, Mr. Ajaku, because now our electricity is now solved, and now Ghanaians are enjoying the lights now. I'm so grateful to what he is doing for our nation, Ghana.
President Akufo-Addo within the last 1 year has not reshuffled any of his ministers. Perhaps this shows the confidence he reposes in them to do a good job at their various ministries. But an assessment of all 110 ministers is imminent. The Ministry of Monitoring and Evaluation is expected to release its assessment of the performance of President Akufo-Addo's appointees in January 2018.
From the corridors of government, let's take you to the Volta region. A worried community has described lack of electricity in their area as a curse. At Fuvame, some of the men resort to binge drinking to overcome a boring night. But for those who are not always on the bottle, sex becomes an option. William Evans Inkum tells us how leaders of the community are controlling premarital sex under an unattractable situation.
All work and no play, they say, make Jack the dull boy. Life in this village clearly defines the word boredom and the saying, the devil finds work for the idle hand. A tedious day, but a boring. It's 8 p.m. and already Foveme community is fast asleep. Certainly there's not the kind of life they want, but the options are limited because of the fact that there is no electricity. Some of the men, after hard day's work, take solace in this drinking bar. With no light to facilitate a smooth relaxation, some of the people have virtually become binge drunkards, we were told. And when some get intoxicated, the night becomes an avenue to settle scores.
Everywhere I go,
for the children, with this rechargeable radio providing some of your favorite tunes, they would dance till they are tired.
Teachers find it difficult to stay here.
Premarital sex is a major issue because a dry night puts the teenagers in a mood to make out. But the leaders of the village constantly monitor these teenagers.
We make sure that we educate the parents to control the children in the environment so as to prevent such a situation.
There was no available data on the growth rate of Foveme population, but the number of children here speaks volumes. In a country where increase in population size can affect the distribution of its limited resources, at least if Foveme is connected to the national grid, they will understand global trend and be actively involved in all spheres of development. William Evans Inkum, GH1 News, Foveme.
Residents of Atito, a suburb of Angloga in the Volta region, are calling on government and other benevolent organizations to come to the aid of the community. Residents want to be provided with basic amenities such as KVIP, clinic, library, IT, laboratory and market to sell their produce. Elders of the community say lack of these things poses a major challenge to residents. Francisca Ahin visited the community and has filed this report.
It is told that Atito was founded in the early 1700s. The name Atito originates from a big hollow tree used as shelter in those days. With a population of over 1,000, the community has no hospital. Residents travel several kilometers to Angloga, Koji or Sogakope to access health care. The community, through communal spirit, is trying to build a clinic for themselves. Every family is expected to pay 100 cedis every April till the project is complete. One of the residents, Matilda Fagbeto Domi, shared the seriousness of lacking a health center in the community.
Clinic wale miagbo nem amara kula mhaja bana kwa iketa nanyuba akula la jora amara difana makwa iketa makwa yangologa makwa isuga kopo ndo shada tenjo nanya driver de panamba ha ajaba na wika avako kokoyi.
Lack of sustainable water supply is another problem facing the people of Atito. The community has 2 standing pipes which give them clean water when the taps are flowing. This one right in the center of the community, which is most accessible to majority of the people, has been locked up for several months. And you will not believe the reason why. The person in charge has traveled out of the community, and until she returns, people in Atito have to depend on this one, which sometimes doesn't flow for days. When the water finally flows, residents rush and queue with their buckets and gallons. 4 buckets of water cost 50 pesos, and even that, residents complain it is too expensive.
Yaba chinyao nami alisakla sako otuchi anami nkaka tonkaka na roko shirara ka shofi haya za rumela sha otuchi na mi mekpochi mi awo nuwo aroma yokwira tankama ogbe mi yi na hwive edzani.
One of the 2 KVIPs serving the community and the only school is leaking into the lagoon from which residents get their first catch. And the state of the toilet is just a complete put-off, perhaps because it has no caretaker.
We need to get a new facility that when people travel to this community, they also have a good place. The old type of a KVIP is what we have, and we need this, what do you call it, water closet type, that at least the 12-seater water closet type.
The main occupation for the people of Atito is fishing for the men and weaving of mat for the women. Unfortunately, none of it generates enough income for proper upkeep of families. The inability to catch enough fish is making the men unable to provide for their wives and children. The women, after weaving their mats, also have no available market to sell.
Garomo, miokpo, akpatola garomo. Kare miokoleta, yagani kle trebi kle, lakle pafe adrana. Kumatu kuba fame mia garo fa toshishia, miokpo gbojwe. Le nya fa topokloma. Afi nya vi ho te nche, nu jifi poma ru ko to ho yime. Ko mawe nya ku khele nya ngula chito duhama.
Achito duhama doye mie wona konwenye abadede. Mia yire toji ave shikechi. Akọgbọva na mie shi na fuo. Emie lona ba. Eta ngloga shi me mie zrane lena.
15-year-old Daniel has taken to fishing to cater for himself and school needs.
Like Nemi Toja, Barogbo Mikponi, Aro na Echijara Echema, Yemisan Kogoma Crown.
Daniel is also unhappy that the only school in the village lacks computers.
This is indeed a community in distress, and hopefully there are some plans in the works for Atito. The Ministry of Trade and Industry has assured government is keen on supporting young entrepreneurs to create more jobs in the private sector. Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry Carlos Kingsley Ahinkra noted government is poised to partner the private sector to grow Ghana's economy. He was speaking at the Freddy's Corner end-of-year appreciation party. Multibus, in collaboration with Freddy's Corner, organized an end-of-year party to reward its customers and various individuals for their constant support and contributions towards its achievement and celebrate its successful year. Speaking at the ceremony, Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry Carlos Ahinkra charged the Chief Executive Officer of Freddy's Corner to focus on the full manufacturing of their products here in Ghana instead of importing to create more jobs. He assured government is committed to helping create a congenial atmosphere for small-scale and medium enterprises.
Happening government's commitment towards helping SMEs in Ghana, and by giving them the assurance that we're going to make MBSSI take them up and of course bring them on board the government's transformation agenda to ensure that they are not left out, and of course they also improve on skill and knowledgeability, technical know-how. Their entrepreneurship shouldn't be geared towards just importation or bringing goods from outside into our country. Indeed, they should also look at situations where they can enter into manufacturing here in Ghana.
The ceremony was used to honor hard-working staff and register new members.
Motivational sessions for small and medium-scale businesses. Like I said, Ghanaian businesses are confronted with several challenges. Everyone who is interested in trade and people who are already in trade who are finding the going very difficult.
The Chief Executive Officer of Freddy's Corner, Alfred Kole Mate, who is also the brain behind Multibus, entreated the general public, especially small-scale businesses, to join the Multibus group to be trained on how to grow a successful business. Multibus is a motivational group for small and medium-scale businesses set up to train young entrepreneurs to build their own businesses. You're still watching GHToday News on GH1 television with me, Redwan Karim Dini Osman. Let's move from Ghana and head to Liberia, where the people there are still waiting for the official announcement of results in the December 26 presidential runoff. Now, unofficial result puts George Weah in the lead. Ahead of that announcement, head of the ECOWAS Observer Mission, John Dramani Mahama, addressed the media in Liberia yesterday on the conduct of the polls. Here is a playback.
Polling places visited open not later than 15 minutes after the official opening time of 8 a.m. with an effective presence of representatives of both parties, the CDC and the UP, in all the polling places covered. There was effective presence of security at polling precincts. Voter turnout at the opening of the poll compared to the first round of the elections was generally observed to be low, with an average of between 8 to 36 voters per queue. However, by the end of the day, the voter turnout had improved to about approximately 55% from my estimation. The vote counting processes at the polling station were conducted transparently and professionally in the presence of the agents of the two candidates and some local observers. The ECOWAS Election Observer Mission noted with satisfaction the peaceful conduct of the 26th December 2017 poll in the Republic of Liberia. The mission urges the National Elections Commission to approach the concluding phases of the process with fairness, openness, and transparency until the final proclamation of results are made.
So the information coming in indicates that ex-footballer George Weah is said to have taken a commanding lead over Vice President Joseph Boakai. Now, my colleague Della Michelle has been interacting with some Liberians here in Ghana at the Budumburam camp on what they make of the polls so far.
For 73 years, Liberia had no smooth transfer of power, but on January 16, 2006, history was made as Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was sworn in as the first African female president. It was a joyous celebration in Monrovia, and many came to see Liberia turn over a new page. With her impeccable credentials, expectations were high. She had taken over a country that had suffered conflict and destruction for years. 15 years of civil war, there was a lot to be done.
You hereby swear that I will support.
Unemployment was high, no education, no respect, and for some, no hope. Many citizens cried for jobs, better living conditions, but most importantly, hope. Ellen has ruled Liberia for close to 11 years, and the country has experienced some infrastructural development. But just like Oliver Twist, Liberians are demanding for more. On October 10, 2017, Liberia held its general elections. No candidate annexed 50% plus one of the votes for an outright win, but George Weah secured majority of votes. The runoff was held between the two contenders, Joseph Boakai and George Weah. Provisional results placed ex-footballer George Weah in a comfortable lead over Vice President Joseph Boakai. This news brought about jubilation at the Budumburam camp here in Accra on Wednesday morning, for residents were in favor of candidate George Weah. They shared some expectations they have of the incoming president.
We expect his leadership to ensure that they repatriate us, because we are so many here, and I'm not speaking of myself in particular, but in general we have a lot of people who seek to return home, but they don't have the finances, they don't have what it takes to return home. So we look up to his government to make sure that they have people to return to Liberia and be part of the reconstruction process.
Whosoever that will be the president for the day, we are expecting much from them, and we pray that they shouldn't lead the Liberian people astray. We have a poor Rule 16 in the country. and a lot of people are complaining. So I appeal to the incoming government that they should see first for the road, the development of the road. Let there be a good road in a country.
George Rai is a good person. He's a humanitarian, and I trust his ability of doing good for people. And I pray that as he becomes the next president, the wisdom of God guides him to do the right thing.
They are thankful for a peaceful election and hope that Liberia's decision will not leave the country in any further distress than it already is.
The youth, let them go back to school. That's the most ultimate prize for our country. Our country, we don't want to go back to where we came from. And all the people surrounding here, we can't do nothing about it. Liberia decided, and as a Liberian, we accept it, but we want to pray for the best, and things should change and go in the direct direction for us so we can go back home one day.
We want to see the government, creating an enabling environment where investors will move into Liberia, provide job opportunity for our youth, so that our people can live good life, and to make sure that our youth is properly educated.
The fate of many Liberians is heavily dependent on the outcome of the December 26 runoff.
And be sure to stay with Ghana's trusted news source, GH1 News, for the latest from Liberia. We can now move to Syria, where a senior UN official says he fears children waiting to be evacuated from a besieged rebel-held area of the Syrian capital, Damascus, are being used as bargaining chips. UN Special Envoy to Syria, Jan Egeland, told the BBC he understood that rebels had agreed to release government workers in exchange for the children. Another 12 patients were evacuated on Wednesday, following 4 on Tuesday. 13 more urgent cases are expected to be evacuated on Thursday. News of the latest evacuations from Eastern Ghouta came in a tweet from the Syrian American Medical Association. There are severe shortages of food, fuel and medicines, and the cold weather is threatening to worsen the hardship. On Wednesday, the International Committee of the Red Cross confirmed that 4 critically ill people had been taken with their families to hospitals in Damascus, and that it hoped a total of 29 people will be evacuated over the coming few days. Up next, we bring you the weather update. All right, many thanks for watching the news.